Hi everyone and welcome to my web scraping tutorial with Python. In this series you will learn how you can pull any information you want from any website. So the reason you want to follow this series will be probably because you always were interested how you can pull specific information from a website like a sports website or from your bank account or from Wikipedia or any website that you really can think about it and turn this information into a friendly Python code that will allow you to access the information from those websites. And the way we are going to do that is by using the beautiful soup library, which is the main library for those kind of tasks. So in this video we will learn the basics of web scraping with beautiful soup, and in the next two videos we will take our skills to the next level, so that way you can understand the obstacles when you want to web scrape some website and how you can overcome them with special methods. So let's get started. Great, so this is the web page that we are going to start web scraping, and I'm going to explain what is going on here. So you can see that we are having a basic title, and then we are having a kind of three paragraphs. So you can see that we have a title of Python, and then we have a kind of secondary title, and then there is a basic explanation about the course itself, and then we are having a button that says start that will probably lead us to a different page if we click on it. And then you can see that it has the price here as well. Now we are kind of repeating ourselves three times here, and this is what is responsible to that web development paragraph and then also for that machine learning paragraph. Now what we are currently looking at, it is basically the behind the scenes of that page. So this is the HTML code that is defined in order to show you that hello start learning page. And you can see that inside our HTML documents, all of the code is being created with tags. Now those tags are what are responsible to display different information for you. And you can see that we have a big tag that is called HTML, and then inside of that HTML tag we are having a head tag and then a body tag. Now you can see that we are defining a closure for each of our tags with the / here, and then you are probably going to see that for the different tags as well. Now let's expand the head tag here, and then inside of it we are seeing some meta information that is not quite relevant for us, but we see that link tag, which is responsible to import some styling for our page, and then we can see that title tag, which is responsible to customize our tab name, and that is why you see my courses over here. Now I will close back the head and then I will expand the body. So the body is responsible to display what is going to be on the page itself. It is the page's body, and you can see that we already have the h1 tag that is created here, and then between the closure, which is the area that you can write the text for that tag, we see the hello comma start learning, and then we are having some div tags here. And when you see the tag of div, this is the very basic tag that will create some tags in different styling. So you see here the class equals card. What this attribute assigning does here, it is importing the card styling, and that is why you see the kind of carding style for each of our paragraphs over that page. And you can see that we are having one more div inside that card class, which is called card header. So this is the styling for card header. This is why it is called that way. And then the text is Python, and then we have the card body, and we have the h5 tag, which is a kind of smaller header that you can display. And if I scroll right here, you can see that Python for beginners text and then the closure for h5 tag, and we are having a paragraph and then the a tag, which is allowing us to lead to another page. So when you see the a tag, it is basically a reference to another page that you can visit. Now this entire code that I'm currently marking, let's actually make our page a bigger here. This entire code that I just marked is kind of repeated 3 times, and that is why we see the page that we saw previously. Okay, so it is quite important to understand, and we are going to scrape that page and pull some information with the Beautiful Soup library. Now, if you are confused with the script tags here, don't, because those tags are responsible to import some JavaScript libraries, and that is something not relevant for us right now. Okay, so we are going to switch to Python now in order to apply some basic scraping for that page. So I will go and start working on my main.py file, and you can see that nothing is here. Now, before we actually start, we have to install some libraries, and one of them will be the Beautiful Soup. So I will open my terminal, and since I'm working with my system global interpreter, I will allow myself to install it over here. And I will go here and write pip install, and then we will write here Beautiful Soup 4. So make sure that everything is not spaced or not splitted with dashes, and then I'm going to hit enter, and then you can see that it is installed successfully. And then the next thing that I want to install will be something that is going to be used from the Beautiful Soup library, and that is the parser method. So when you work with Beautiful Soup, you have to specify the method that you are going to parse HTML files into Python objects. Okay, so there are going to be different methods to parse your HTML code, and I heard that the best of them could be the lxml parser, since if you work with the default HTML parser, it is not going to deal well with broken HTML code. So just go ahead and install the lxml parser library, and you can also do that with pip install, and then we are going to use that when we work with the Beautiful Soup. So I will go here and then write pip install lxml, and then once I do that, let's wait until it's finished. Great, so we are ready now to go back to PyCharm and start working with the Beautiful Soup library. Now we have to go here and import that Beautiful Soup library. So it could be a little bit confusing because the libraries folder is created as bs4. So that is why we are going to write here from bs4 import Beautiful Soup like this. And once I have done that, I have to figure out how I'm going to access the content inside the home.html file that is right there inside my web scraping directory. So in order to do that, we have to work with file objects. Now, if you don't know how to work with files in Python, that is totally fine because we are going to go over it. And it also might be worth to check my channel out if I have already uploaded how to work with files in Python. So I'm going to write here with open. So this is basically a statement that will allow me to open a file and then read the content of that specific file. So as you can see from the auto completion, I have to specify as my first argument the file's name. So I'm going to close the parentheses here, and then inside here I'm going to write my HTML file's name. Now, since the Python file and then the home.html file are in the same exact directory, it will be okay just to write its name. So it will be home.html. And the second argument will be the method that you want to apply when you open that file in that Python's memory. So you have a couple of options when you work with Python files. You can read them, you can write them, or you can do both. And if we only want to read the content, then we somehow want to specify that we only want to read this file. So we will open here a new string and we will write here R. So what this tells to Python is basically that I'm going to read that file only. And once I have done that, I have to write here a variable that is going to be used inside that code block that I just created, which is the with open. So I'm going to use the as keyword, and then I'm going to create here a variable name that is going to be used throughout the block of the open. So it will be HTML underscore file, and that will be basically my variable name. And then once I do that, I will go inside the open block, and then I will write here content equals to HTML file dot read. And once I apply the read method, I'm basically reading the HTML file content. And in order to show you how this works, let's first print the content itself. So I will go here and print the content, and then I will run out the main.py, and then you can see that the information that is printed is exactly what we saw in the home.html. Okay, so we kind of did a great job reading this file. Now, in my future episodes, we are going to read HTML files from real websites, but I just want to give you an idea of how web scraping works in a very basic way, because when you work with actual websites, the scraping and the information pulling is going to be quite harder than the HTML file that I just have written in order to explain the idea of web scraping. Okay, so I'm going to continue on here, and I'm going to use the Beautiful Soup library in order to prettify my HTML and work with its tags like Python objects. So the way you can accomplish that will be by creating an instance of Beautiful Soup. And I will go here and create a new variable. Let's call it soup. And that is going to be equal to a new instance of the Beautiful Soup library. Now, the arguments that I'm going to specify here will be the HTML file that I want to scrape. So the content of that will be the content variable that is created up above. And then the second argument will be the parser method that we want to use. So we will pass the parser method as string, and that will be the lxml that we have just installed previously. Now, once I go ahead and try to print what is inside that soup instance, it will be something like the following. So we will create here a print statement, and then we will go with soup.prettify. So that will allow you to see the HTML code in a more pretty way. And if I go ahead and run this, you can see that we see the HTML content that is exactly the same like what we saw in the home.html. So we have done a great job until now. So let's minimize back our terminal. And now we are going to get more familiar with the special methods that are created inside the Beautiful Soup library. So we are going to delete the print from here, and we are going to start working how we can grab some specific information that we want to grab. So let's assume that we want to grab all the HTML tags that are created as h5 tags, which is a kind of header tag. So we will go here and create a new variable. Let's call it tags, for example. And then we will go with soup.find. And then once I go with find, it is going to search for the specific HTML tag that I'm going to specify here as a string. So if I go here and write h5, and then down below I go ahead and print the tags, the results of that will be something like the following. Now you can see that we have the entire HTML tag for the h5 tag. As you can see that its text is Python for beginners. But if you remember, we have more than one h5 tags that are created inside our home HTML tag. So if you remember from the home file, there is one here, there is the second one over there, and there is the third one over there. And what that means, it means that the find method searches for the first element, and then it stops the execution of searching for the HTML tag that you are looking for. Now, if you want to change this behavior and not only grab the first element, then basically you have to change your method into find underscore all. Okay, so that will search for all the h5 tags inside the content. And now if I go ahead and run that out, then you can see that the result here is quite different, as we have here a list, and then you can see that it has Python for beginners, and then also Python web development, and then also the Python machine learning. Now that could be a great logic to bring you back all the courses names from that web page. So you can go here and change this into courses HTML tags. Okay, so this is what the H5 tags are actually responsible for. And now I can write here some different code that will allow me to see all the courses that are defined on our page. So we have Python for beginners, and then we have Python web development, and then we also have Python machine learning. So we can work with these courses HTML tags that stores all the H5 HTML tags and write a nice program that is going to display all the courses. So we can actually create here an iteration over the courses HTML tags because it has a list. So we will go here with for course in courses HTML tags, and then inside of that course tag that we are iterating, we can bring only the text attribute, which is going to display the course text itself. So it will be here course.text. And now if I go ahead and run our program, then you can see that we have a nice output regarding all of the courses that are available from that page. So this could be a nice starter to understand how you can scrape a web page to grab some specific information you want. Alright, so we were able to understand how we can apply some basic scraping to a web page, but when you are going to deal with real websites, the HTML code is not going to be quite friendly and simple like we had here. So in order to be able to access the HTML code behind the scenes of some page, we have to use the inspect of any browser. So let's say that you want to grab the price for each of the courses. So it makes sense to go with your mouse and hover to that button and then right click on it, and then you want to look for that inspect option, and once you open that out, you will have a new pane that is going to be opened, and then here we can see all the HTML code that is responsible to display what is going on the left pane. So you can see that we have here, let's make it a little bit more bigger, so that will be enough. And then you can see that we have here div class card 3 times, which is displaying all the different courses. Now when you go over different HTML tags with your mouse, you can see that it is going to mark for you the HTML tag that is related to it. So it is a quite important behavior that we should understand. Now let's say that we want to grab the price for that Python for beginners. So it makes sense to expand this tag and see what is inside. So I will go here and search for that button, and you can see that this A tag is actually responsible for that button itself, and then you can see that its text is start for $20, so the price information is right there. And let's actually write a program that is going to search for that Python for beginners, and then we will grab the price for that course, and then we will be able to write a nice program that is going to include a list of all of the courses and then the prices for each one of them. So let's go back to PyCharm and write this program. So we will go here and delete everything from here, and the first step that we probably want to do is to be able to grab all the course cards. So it will be course underscore cards equals to soup.find_all, because we probably are looking to bring us back all the cards. So this is why you have to use find all and not the find. And I'm going to search for the div tags. Now it could be much nicer if we could filter the div tags that we actually want to grab and store it inside our course cards. So if you noticed, let's go back to our courses page, and here if I just expand back there all the div tags, you can see that there is something that is common for all the div tags. Their class is equal to card. So I can filter my div tags by this expression right there. So I go back to PyCharm and I will write here class equals to card. But now you can see that there is an error, and it is quite important behavior to understand. You have to apply here the underscore because the class is a built-in keyword in Python where you create Python classes. So that is why you have to add the underscore over here. and then the beautiful soup will understand that you are relating to the class of the HTML attribute. Okay, so it is important. Now, since we have all the course cards stored right in this variable, then we probably want to iterate over this list and then search for the course name and then the course price. So let's see how we can do that for each of our course cards. So we will start with for loop here, and that will be for course in course cards. And before we go ahead and write some more code inside our for loop, let's actually remind you what is inside each of our courses. And then you can see that we have h5 tags on each of our course cards, and it makes sense to access these specific h5 tags. So we can accomplish that by going here and then use the h5 tag as an attribute. So if I go ahead and press here .h5 and rerun my program, then you can see that we were able to grab each of our h5 tags that are inside the course card. So it is a quite great thing. And now if I revert this back to course again and run that out, you can also see that inside our A tags we have the text for start for $20, and that is repeated for all of our cards as well. So first of all, it makes sense to delete this again and write here something like course name equals to course.h5, and then here we probably look for the text attribute of that h5 tag. So I will write here .text, and then this course name will be responsible to store the text on each iteration. So it is great. And now I can go here and write course price, and then this time I will search for course.a because the A tag stores the information about the course price. So until now, if I go ahead and print the course name, and then I also go ahead and print the course price, then we will see the results like the following. So you can see that we have Python for beginners, and then we have the A tag itself. But in this case, we look for the text of that A tag as well. So I will minimize my terminal out, and excuse me for that, I will delete that from here and then search for the text attribute over here as well. And now I will run my program, and then you can see that we have Python for beginners, and then we have the text for each of our A tags. And now, since we reached this stage, it might be a greater idea to print a sentence like Python for beginners costs $20. Okay, so the way we can do that is basically using the split method to access that last element of that text, because the price is located as the last word. So it makes sense to go here with split, and then we will split it by the blank, so we don't have to specify anything here. And we want to grab that last element, so we are looking for -1 index over here. And now if I run it, you can see that we have the price for each of our courses. And now it might be much nicer if we go ahead and use an f-string to print a dynamic sentence for each of our courses. So we will go here with print, and then we will open an f-string, and then we will access the course name. So it will be course_name, and then we will write costs, and then we want to display the course price. So it will be course_price. Now if I run our program, then you can see that it displays a nice information about each one of the courses. Now if you think about it, that is a quite nice behavior that we have applied here, because if you scrape a real website like Udemy that keeps updating courses, then it might be a great idea to launch this program every certain amount of time, for example each week, and then you have the ability to be aware about each of the courses that Udemy has updated on the web page that you scrape on. So this is a quite nice behavior that we were able to reach here. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also hope to see you in my next upload where we are going to scrape real website. And we are going to use an external library that is called request to do such a task. And this might be a greater idea to give you an example how you can scrape an HTML file first, because if you could notice, this HTML file is not like a real website, and it is a quite simple HTML file. And when you go ahead and try to scrape a real website, then you are probably going to deal with HTML files that are going to be in length of thousands of lines. Okay, so it might be a great idea to start with a simple file first. Alright, so I hope to see you in my next upload, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video. If you have any questions, then feel free to ask as well, and I will see you very soon in my next episode.